Hey guys, welcome back. I'm your story guy. Hope everyone's staying safe out there. Little PSA for you. Show consideration for others by wearing a mask and not risking their lives. If you go out without wearing a mask, I'm sorry to say, you're the asshole. With that out of the way, another volcanic epiphany erupted when I had some time to watch Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice recently. I had seen the film many times before, but by God, I just realized what the themes of the movie are. No joke. I consider this one of my favorites of all time, and I only just grasped the deeper meaning behind it, like a few days ago. God, am I even a story guy? 4 years of lost time aside, the main theme of the film is power. This is approached in several different ways, namely the titular characters, Batman and Superman.
That's how it starts. The fever, the rage, the feeling of powerlessness.
Zack Snyder takes a critical look at our pursuit of power over one another. I think his writing is a little sloppy at times.
Maybe it's the Gotham City in me. We just have a bad history with freaks dressed like clowns.
But his cinematography and distinct visual style do a lot of the writing for him. To explore this theme of power, we're going to focus on Batman. After all, he has the most complete character arc in the film. Despite receiving praise for his performance in the role, Ben Affleck's Caped Crusader also gained his share of detractors due to the fact that he took a life or two in the movie. I'll go on record saying that Batfleck is my favorite live-action Batman. He's a Batman that people would be scared of, and that's kind of the whole point, right? But for a while, even I had the same objection. I thought it unnecessary that he discard his no-killing rule. In fact, I thought it severely weakened Batman's case against Superman in the movie. But we need to put him in context. To do this, we'll take a look at several aspects of the character, from his past, to his present, and finally, to his future. The Batman of the Snyderverse is one struggling with his loss of control, that is, his power over his circumstances. The beginning briefly recounts his well-known origin story, though with a twist. We're not actually supposed to be watching Bruce in this scene, but rather Thomas Wayne, his father. As the mugger brandishes the pistol, we see Thomas tense and subsequently lash out against him. He takes a bullet for his trouble, and as Chill scampers off, we're left with the image of Thomas reaching out for his wife.
Martha.
So why all the focus on Papa Wayne? Well, young Bruce witnessed his father lose control, or power, over his circumstances and lash out, looking to preemptively regain the upper hand. Not only does this establish Bruce's fear of powerlessness, but it also acts as a bit of foreshadowing to a scene we'll look at later. Another piece of Batman's history that is only hinted at is the death of Robin. We know it was at the hands of the Joker, given the graffiti on the Boy Wonder's suit. Suicide Squad director David Ayer offered some insight into this, explaining that the Joker's teeth are the result of a savage beating by Batman following Robin's death. Not only does that add an extra layer of darkness to Leto's Joker, but it fleshes out this Batman further. This event is yet another instance where the character had to face a loss of control, i.e., the power to save Robin from his enemies. And in a chilling homage to his father, he lashed out in an attempt to regain control. Then comes the Battle of Metropolis. Keep in mind, by the time we see Bruce arriving via helicopter, the character has obviously already experienced the loss of his parents, but also the murder of Robin. Here, he's confronted with a terrifying prospect, a godlike alien capable of wiping out Earth and everyone on it. the ultimate loss of control, not only of his own destiny, but of all mankind's. Another thing to remember is that even after Joker killed Robin, Batman continued to refrain from taking life himself. He brutalized Joker, but left him alive to wreak havoc another day. It was only after he experienced the Battle of Metropolis did Bruce decide to throw his one rule out. Given his history, it should be clear why Superman's existence would so disturb Bruce. A being with such enormous power is capable of the worst, and this Batman has been conditioned to expect only the worst.
20 years in Gotham, Alfred. We've seen what promises are worth. How many good guys are left? How many stayed that way?
With this event, Batman reinterprets his own history. Perhaps his idea of redemption for those who have lost their way was naive. After all, his world had grown a lot bigger with the reveal of Superman. The consequences should his power be abused even bigger. His past, combined with his loss of hope in his fellow man, fuels his entire mission in the film. Earlier I mentioned that Zack Snyder's cinematography at times do the writing for him. Notice the elevation. Bruce is down here, on the ground, where regular people are, the helpless. And up there are the aliens, above the petty daily lives of humans. Think about when you see people meeting a king in movies or television. Usually the audience takes a bow or curtsy, with their head only ever looking up at royalty. It's the same idea here. Think of it as a way of acknowledging such immense power, far above humanity's and Bruce's ability to control it. The next scene is nothing but talking, but it gives us a glimpse into how Bruce's actions are being perceived by those closest to him. Here, Batman has made headlines due to his increasingly violent means of extracting information. Alfred offers his thoughts.
New rules.
We're criminals, Alfred. We've always been criminals. Nothing's changed.
Oh, yes, it has, sir. Everything's changed. Men fall from the sky. The gods hurl thunderbolts. Innocents die. That's how it starts. The fever, the rage, the feeling of powerlessness that turns good men cruel.
This scene establishes the murky moral waters that Batman is treading. He's turned to the very thing he's fighting against in order to regain the loss of power he feels. It connects that loss of power to the arrival of Superman. Next we move on to the scene that everyone who went and saw this movie was waiting for. The fight between Batman and Superman. This scene literally crackles with subtext, echoing the Battle of Metropolis to emphasize what this confrontation means to Bruce. Snyder uses elevated cinematography that is noticeably more fluid, with the characters duking it out from the lowly alleyways of Gotham to the eerie heights of the city's buildings. We move from the ground to the sky, back down, then further down. Symbolically, this constant relocating illustrates Batman's own declining sense of humanity. Notice the fight begins by having Superman go to Batman's city and down to Batman's literal level. And despite Superman bringing Bruce up to the roof, he forced the Man of Steel back down, even further into his fear and hatred. Finally, we come to the Martha moment.
Why did you say that name?
Could this have been done with more finesse? Yes. But nevertheless, Snyder was attempting something profound. The scene recalls the Wayne's murder. Their mothers having the same name is important. Superman becomes a proxy for Thomas Wayne.
Martha. Save Martha!
Metaphorically then, Batman has become Joe Chill. His rage had rendered him blind to this fact, causing him to lash out at a world that stubbornly resisted the justice he originally set out to bring. The conclusion to Bruce's story is a two-part finale of sorts, beginning with the best Batman scene ever put to film. Yeah, I said it. This is exactly what I mean when I say people would be scared of this Batman. Following his fight with Superman, Bruce rescues Martha Kent from a group of Lex Luthor's goons. Notice that Bruce is still killing in this scene. Despite his come to Jesus moment with Superman, he still has no qualms about ending life. But an aspect of his life has come back under his control: his emotions. Refocusing his rage from Superman to these kidnappers, Bruce begins to channel the Batman that was. But the killing reminds us of one thing Batman is still missing: hope. Hope for his fellow man, hope for the future, and hope for himself. And it is this missing element that prevents him from completely reclaiming his power. Without the expectation of or hope for justice, Batman ceded his power to the world that had beaten him down. In his mind, it was no longer worth saving, until he watches Superman give his life for that world. The Man of Steel's sacrifice is the second part of Batman's finale. In Superman's death, Bruce sees a man who is undoubtedly other, a literal alien. Nevertheless, this alien gave his life so that his adopted home would live. As a native of that adopted home, Bruce realizes the dissonance between his own view of humanity and that of its savior. Ideally, Batman should be the advocate for the people of Earth. Instead, Superman filled that role because Batman's state of mind prevented him from doing so. Following their climactic battle with Doomsday, Batman visits Lex in Arkham Asylum. Given his prior affinity for killing, it's striking that Batman neither eliminates nor does he even harm Lex. He does the classic Batman thing: intimidates him, then leaves. Thus, his arc is complete. He's chosen to place hope in others again, rather than ascribing malice. In recounting the story of a bitter Bruce Wayne finding hope, Zack Snyder wrestles with our pursuit of power. Batman relentlessly pursues actions that he thinks will restore his sense of control. Through his anger and violence, he believes himself to be exerting power over injustice. However, as his time with Superman reminded him, true power over injustice comes with a man's choice not to engage in it. Further, Batman returns to working actively to snuff it out. Regaining this power birthed a new Batman, one who rises above the pain of his losses and becomes determined not to let Superman's death be for nothing. Light reaches us in our darkest alleyways. Like Batman, witnessing the depravity of the world can leave one jaded. It is when we realize that our hope in the world is not based on what we see now, but what we'd like to bring tomorrow. Finding hope, we're empowered to bring hope, and in so doing, enable others to become the best of themselves.